Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Raising Indiana, a podcast devoted to the joys and pains of puppyhood. Here we'll cover everything from training to nutrition to care and psychology. This week we're broadcasting from Flemington, New Jersey. Did you know puppies have a third eyelid, also referred to as a nictitating membrane or haw? In essence, it's a translucent eyelid that serves to moisten and protect the eye while allowing the puppy to still see. I just thought Indiana was possessed by demons, kind of like Linda Blair. But I digress. This week we're slap happy to have with us Robert Mueller, a pioneer in raw diets for dogs and the co-founder of Barf World. Welcome to our humble little show, Mr. Mueller. Let's start off with, what is Barf, and for Christ's sakes, where did you get that name?
Okay, the Barf diet has several different acronyms. It's an acronym for a couple different scenarios. One is biologically appropriate raw food. The other one is bones and raw food. Both scenarios trying to describe a diet that's most appropriate for feeding a dog. I have to share with you, it was an interesting situation because he's from Australia. We had a business meeting. We brought him over here, and one of the topics at the business meeting was whether we wanted to continue to keep the name as the Barf diet, because obviously it has different connotations here in the United States. He got real puzzled when we talked to him about it because he had absolutely no idea what Barf meant in the United States. Consequently, as a result of that, we did keep the name the same, and now I have to say the Barf name has been pretty well recognized as the established raw diet in the United States. But it almost got changed as a result of him not knowing that.
Still think there are a few branding issues with that name, but that's my own humble opinion. So how did you get involved in the raw diet for dogs?
35 years ago, prior to the 35, I was a registered pharmacist, and 35 years ago I engaged in formulating and manufacturing raw diets primarily for the racing greyhound industry. We provided raw foods for an industry that realized the advantages of feeding raw rather than kibble. And in fact, a racing greyhound dog, if you compare same genetically raised dog, one on kibble and one on the raw diet, the kibble-fed dog will very seldom win a race in comparison to the dog raised on the raw diet. Just a powerful nutrition difference between the two. Well, we started out in the greyhound business. I've had 3 manufacturing facilities. We expanded our business to servicing 95% of all the zoos in the country. We made a carnivore diet and a feline diet for all the zoos across the nation and outside of the country. About 10 years ago, when I ran into Dr. Billinghurst, I convinced him that instead of home-prepared raw food diets, that it would be more advantageous for people to buy a commercially prepared diet. And so then we formed Barf World to, promote it on a commercial basis.
But why the raw diet as opposed to cooked food and kibble?
I get asked this all the time, and of course this is the basis of our philosophy. First of all, a dog is not designed to eat grain-based food. The dental structure and the digestive system is designed by Mother Nature, to be able to handle raw-based food. The kibble diets were introduced about 80 years ago in an effort to convert a low-quality, rejected grain diet that was left over from the human food chain. Of course, they've added many additives, including preservatives, flavoring agents, pesticides, a variety of palatability enhancements that have been added to the food to make it a low-cost, convenient food for dogs and cats. It's only when you compare the digestibility and the nutrient utilization factors that you'll see the difference between feeding kibble or a raw food diet. The immediate differences will be a reduction of stool volume by as much as 30%. And of course, that's a real advantage in raising larger dogs. And obviously the stool odor. Other visible differences are improved hair coat, clearer eyes, and an increased activity level. And these are all a result of the improved nutrition from using higher quality ingredients. So that's basically the difference between feeding a cooked or a canned diet and feeding raw.
I guess the question I have is, how did we get to the kibble diet in the first place?
It's money related in that we had, 80 years ago, we had a collection of rejected human grains. Somebody was smart enough to take those and put it into a heat processed kibble form to provide a very cheap, adequate, convenient source of food for their animals. It's very ingenious, and they've made billions of dollars in regards to feeding this way, and they've spent all the money marketing to provide the average pet owner with the information that this is the proper way to feed your dog. We're now 80 years later doing a different, beating a different drum, trying to show people the difference between the two, showing them why you can have improved health from feeding this way. And, like I said, it all goes back to a money-related situation.
Yes, but proponents of the kibble diet would argue that in the decades since it was first introduced, that the dog's digestive system has adapted or evolved now specifically for the kibble diet. What's your response?
Let me give you my thoughts on that. The dental structure of the dog, if you look in the dog's mouth, please tell me that's designed to eat a grain-based food. Okay? You got the canines for ripping and tearing flesh, and you're feeding a dog a grain-based food. But it takes different dentation like a cow to mash it up. Okay? The dental structure and the digestive system suggest differently. The dog has been given stronger stomach acids by the good Lord in order to help digest higher bacteria-laden ingredients, or the natural raw food ingredients. It is the grain-based kibble manufacturers that have tried to convince the pet owner that a kibble-based food is the appropriate choice for optimum health. And that's what I say, it's hogwash. Our company sees the detrimental results from long-term feeding of kibble by the number of allergies, skin conditions, and degenerative diseases that are manifested from the grain-based food. You can't change the digestive mechanism in an animal in a short 80-year cycle. It takes thousands of years to alter nature's design. The dog's ability to eat a kibble diet is a true reflection of the animal's ability to survive and prosper on a diet that is not appropriate for the species. You can raise a child on peanut butter sandwiches and candy, but long-term, the child will end up with a collection of maladies such as diabetes, allergies, kidney failure, and heart conditions. And this is why we're so adamant about picking an appropriate diet that allows the body to properly utilize the ingredients and eliminate the toxin buildup that we get with a lot of the kibble diets.
One last question, Mr. Mueller. Since Raising Indiana is a podcast custom tailored for puppy issues, at what age should you start the raw diet?
Just after it's weaned.
Which is what, six weeks or 8 weeks?
Yep, about 8 weeks. Put it on the diet. In our experience, approximately 90% of all the dogs being converted onto a raw diet, we can start them out with a fast conversion. Just throw them right into it, and they do just great. If we convert a dog that has a digestive issue or may have a compromised immune system, then we'll suggest a slow conversion to the diet. But we put them on it right away. They do beautiful.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have this week. I'd like to thank Robert Mueller for being on our show and his contributions to animal nutrition and the bark diet. Cookie name, but you can't argue with the science. Thanks to our audience, supporters, volunteers, friends, and fellow animal lovers. From Hudson, Indy, and me, keep the faith and puppy up. And folks, support your local shelter or rescue and learn more about canine cancer at 2milliondogs.org.